Hey fam, welcome to the channel. It's Igor behind the camera and I appreciate that you're here with me today. So today we have something very different that we're going to be doing. We're going to be analyzing Jolion's crash test results. They just came in like, I think this week, at some point this week, and I was so excited because I believe there's a lot of consumers who are very interested in how is the Jolion going to survive if it was ever put on a crash test, right? And they've done that now. And I think it's going to bring some form of relief for those who have the Jolion already and for those who were eyeing it but they were skeptical, because there's quite a number of people that were skeptical about its safety. So to do this video, I thought, you know what, let me bring something to relate it to. I wanted a car that I know that you just trust. Just by seeing it, you can just buy it without even questioning its safety. In this case, I chose the Mercedes EQA, which is like the electric version of the GLA. In that sense, please remember, as we're going to be doing this relation, not necessarily comparison, is that the EQA, the base spec of it, can literally buy base spec Jolions 3 times. So please remember that as we are going to be doing this whole analysis of the results and so on, right? For those who may not be aware, Ancap means New Car Assessment Program, and this is a program that does safety assessment of the vehicles independently from the manufacturer. We have about 9 in the world, and we're going to be looking at the Australian Ncap because it's the one that has done both the EQA and the Jolion. But I know people love what they know, and mostly that is euroncap. So I just brought the results here to show you that they are almost similar. In fact, it's just one area that is different and by 2 percentage points. So Australian Ncap, we can trust it in this case. The assessment is broken down in 4 areas, which is adult occupant protection, child occupant protection, vulnerable road user protection, and safety assist. So that's how we're going to be looking at the Jolion in relation to the EQA. If you didn't know how much impact is there on 50 kilometers or 60 kilometers, now you know. That is frontal offset, which is where a vehicle hits an object maybe from the side and the impact is coming inside the cabin. So when it comes to the Jolion, it scored 90% and the Mercedes scored 97%. Where did the Jolion lose ground in this case? When you're looking at the infographic down below, they're rating them as good, adequate, marginal, weak, or poor, right? This is protection offered in this case. So when you're looking at the Jolion, there will be marginal protection to the chest of the driver when that happens, and the legs as well, then they're going to get some adequate, not necessarily good. Good obviously is the highest rating in this case. So Jolion is not giving us the best in that case, but it's giving us acceptable. And when you're looking at the back now, the kids, they're going to suffer some marginal protection is going to happen to the neck. So there might be some tensions that are happening to the kids' necks. And I'm looking at the head of the smaller child is going to be a little bit of, they're going to get a little bit of a headache basically. And then on the chest, at least there's adequate protection for the older child, which is like 10 years old or so. And then for that, then they can be able then to, you can give them just painkillers and stuff and they'll be fine. Okay, let's look at the Mercedes now. With the Mercedes, yeah, no, it was moving and shaking in here because everything is good. I mean, from the chest to the head to the legs, lower legs, everything was just green. It's just that when you go into the children at the back, with the older child, there will be some tension on the neck, but it's adequate protection. So I don't think it's something that we're going to be worried about. So that's where the Jolion lost ground. Let's go to the next one. All right, that is side impact, and either you're going to be hit by another car or you're going to hit a pole. There's nothing much to explain there. Otherwise, in the Jolion, what they picked up is that your pelvis, I don't know what's gonna hit you there. Okay, but yeah, there will be some form of marginal protection when it comes to the pelvis. When you go to the back, the kids, older, younger, everyone is fine. Everything is scored good there. Going to the Mercedes, everything looked like it's fine. There's nothing there that they deducted whatsoever. Everything was just fine from the side to the pole as well. Looking at the kids as well, everyone was just fine. So Jolion lost some ground when it comes to that pelvis area. I don't know what's gonna hit you there, but yeah, that's where it lost some ground over this Mercedes. On to the next one. That's a full width frontal crash where you just drive straight into something. In this case, it's a wall. And when you're looking at the Jolion, in this case, it looks like the driver is green. So for some reason, the driver is green, and I don't know why. Because when I'm looking at the back, there's things happening there. The rear passenger, looks like your chest is going to get some marginal protection, and then your neck as well might experience some tension because there's just adequate protection and not necessarily green. When we go to the Mercedes, there is adequate protection for the driver when it comes to the chest. I think that's where then it lost a little bit of ground when it comes to that compared to the Jolion. Also, when you're looking at the neck as well, there might be some tension. Going to the back, as much as it's like a photo finish of the Jolion, it's not necessarily as deep, because with the Jolion, when I'm looking at the numbers, in this case drilling down to the numbers, the Jolion looks like it lost a lot more points compared to the Mercedes. Otherwise, I'd say, wow, Jolion, that's surprising. That's actually a good result, because unlike the Frontal, the other one that we've done before, the Jolion was actually driving at 50 kilometers per hour and the Mercedes was at 64. But for this test, it was done at 50-50. So yeah, okay, that's quite interesting. On to the next one. So what they were showing us there is the pedestrian impact test at 40 kilometers per hour for both cars, right? So the biggest thing that I've seen there when it comes to both cars is that if the car was to hit you and you land on the bonnet, right, you're just gonna be fine, unless if your head was to hit there by the base of the windscreen, just where the windscreen and the bonnet are connecting, because those pillars are quite stiff, and for both of them you might suffer because it returned marginal to poor results. Otherwise, the two cars returned almost the same when it comes to the impact on the bumper and so on, because then now they're showing that on the pelvis you will have problems, or you might have, because they return poor results, or weak or poor for both of them, because then now I believe that's where you're going to be bending, and the hips and everything around the pelvis, then you might have a problem there. I think for me it's almost the same result. So with that said, on to the next one. When it comes to autonomous emergency braking, the Jolion is rated as adequate for both the cyclist and the pedestrian, because where I think it's suffering a bit, When it comes to pedestrians, is at night, because then now it's not picking up the obstacles properly, especially when they're coming from the side, because whether they're coming from the left or right, they tested from the left, it got like weak protection, and then on the right as well, then it got a little bit of marginal. And yeah, when it comes to cyclists as well, when I'm looking at it during the day, cyclists traveling just crossing or in front of the car, going along with the vehicle, in this case, it's going to give you like weak protection as well. And now when I'm looking at the cyclist crossing, it's like adequate. So the overall performance in this case was given adequate. When it comes to the Mercedes, it got good overall. I didn't expect that. I don't know why, but it got good overall because it can pick up obstacles day and night, crossing and stuff. The only areas that are like a little bit like adequate and not necessarily rated as high is the child running during the day, and also if an adult is walking along the vehicle, like going in the same direction at night, it might not necessarily give you the best, but otherwise it's rated as good overall in these areas. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next one, of course, which is safety assist. When it comes to safety assist, this is where I think the Jolion was almost mopping the floor with the Mercedes in this case, because it was passing almost everything. I mean, they tested emergency lane keeping. It was good. Everything was green. It was picking up things as they're supposed to. Then it went to lane keep assist in this case. It was good as well. And then human machine interface, which in this case they only tested the blind spot monitoring, it got a pass as well. Then they went to supplementary warning. You know, the warnings that are in the Haval, if you've been there before, you'd know that they can be annoying at some point. Everything was just going well. Autonomous emergency braking, car to car. In this case, it's not the same as the pedestrian because there are bigger obstacles. In this case, it's a car. So everything was just green, good, except for the tow car braking heavily in front of you. If someone was like braking heavily in front of you, that's where then it's just a little bit adequate and not necessarily green. But otherwise, it retained amazing results in that area. I believe the tech in there is doing the great job. Then when you get to the Mercedes, that's where then it was losing a lot of ground when I'm looking at this, because then now everything like was either marginal or adequate. When it comes to the emergency lane keeping, it was adequate overall. It was not bad, but it was adequate. But you can see from the clips as well that when you're looking at it just going to the side, it can cross the side before it can detect that it actually got over the line, before it actually takes you back. And the Jolion does not even get into the line. Immediately it gets closer, it can be able to take you back. When you're looking at lane keeping assist as well, which explains it, which is marginal in this case. And now going down to lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, it was just a pass. But there is also adequate performance that they recorded in the forward collision warnings, which was not necessarily the best, because if it's driving towards a stationary car, it was just giving you an adequate, but it's enough. I mean, it's enough. It's not necessarily that bad. Everything else was just good when it comes to stopping, seeing emergencies in front of you. That's where then it was just good as well. Looking at this, I think this is where one area where the Jolion was just mopping the floor with Mercedes when it comes to this tech. Okay, so we covered the areas that we needed to cover, and now we need to get to how they summed up the overall scores to get to the final rating. Final rating for Mercedes, of course, it's a 5-star. I mean, this is a Mercedes. I mean, for the adult protection is 97%, child protection is 92%, 81% for cyclists and pedestrians, and then 77% for safety assist. So when I'm looking at this and I compare it to the Jolion in this case, looking at the fact that the Jolion is way below when it comes to the class. I mean, that Mercedes is quite expensive, and I'm looking at the fact that it's like an electric car. You know, there's more things that we can expect from those, of course. But I'm looking at the Jolion results, and I'm looking at the adult protection, which is 90, not bad compared to the Mercedes. 84 for children, which is not bad as well compared to the Mercedes. For the pedestrians, it's 64, and Mercedes is 81. So that's a little bit low. I mean, I think that's where it lost a lot of ground compared to the Mercedes when it comes to the pedestrians. So with the Jolion, please don't go out there and bumping people. You're going to kill people. So please don't do it. But when I'm looking at the safety assists, 92%, and the Mercedes came out with 77. I mean, the tech that is in here, looking at the class and the price point, wow, that's quite impressive. That's quite impressive, because this guy is only coming at, it's starting at 300 and something. It's being compared to a 900 and something thousand rands car, and it's coming with tech that is going to give you that, you know, I'm in a much more expensive car than what I paid for. And that's the thing that I think Haval needs to be proud of, because at the end of the day, it reached the ceiling of getting to the 5-star. In this class, you're likely going to get cars at 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, whatever that you can get. But 5 is not the easiest, especially at this price point. Haval should be very, very proud. With that said, I think that's it from my side. I hope you learned something today. I hope I was able to share with you some insights in terms of how Ncap works and so on. I don't know if you need more information on Ncaps. If you do, maybe someday I will drop something. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate that you've been here with me today. Please like, subscribe, comment, let's engage in the comments. You know how it goes. Thank you so much. I'm out.